Thanks to my Ko-fi supporters that make these videos possible. You can also get a deck review on my weekly Tuesday and Sunday streams. It's the best way to support the channel. Hello everyone! Starting with Edge of Eternities, there's an exciting new rules change for Commander. That being, in that set, spacecrafts can be your commanders if they are legendary, and retroactively, every legendary vehicle can also now be a commander in the command zone. This is exciting news and opens up a ton of new cool, interesting brews that I'm going to talk about here today. Starting up is the Last Ride. Now, this card lets you play a relatively fair game plan by just dropping it for 1 mana and then just using it as a static greed-like effect. But the more interesting mode is certainly the first part, right? My thought is that maybe you could run some sort of life manipulation deck using things like Toxic Deluge or Necropotence or any number of the black life payment outlets to turn Last Ride into a 12/12 as frequently as possible. From there, you can use an effect like Disciple of Bolas to regain life equal to its toughness and draw 12 cards. It's pretty interesting to think about, although I think it's hard to execute with the current suite of cards that exist now in black. The best option I saw was Pact Weapon, but maybe there's a better one that I missed. Let me know down in the comments below for that one. It probably is still just better to run Erebos God of the Dead as a greed style effect for the command zone. Though that doesn't mean you should totally discount this card going into the future. If we ever get more effects like Pact Weapon that make sitting at 0 life a lot more safe, and also if we get any card in future mentioning the power of a commander you control on some sort of Commander Matters design, that could be very interesting with the Last Ride. Next up is a card that I do have a lot of hope for in the current state of Commander. That is Esika's Chariot. Esika's Chariot enters the battlefield and makes 2/2 green cats. And whenever it attacks, you create a token that's a copy of target token you control, but it has a hefty crew cost of 4. It does crew itself because it makes 4 power worth of cats, and it makes more cats when it attacks. But notably, you're not restricted to making cats when it attacks. It can make a copy of any token in play. And that includes something like Timeless Witness. When you eternalize Timeless Witness, it comes back as a 4/4 black zombie creature token, and then it lets you rebuy something from your graveyard. And then you do it again, and again. You can loop Heroic Interventions or Fogs with this. On top of this, we just got Fanatic of Ronus in Modern Horizons 3, a very powerful mana dork that can eternalize itself so it still has synergy, and it lets you jump up to that 7 mana required to activate that Timeless Witness in your graveyard. The powerful top end I see to a deck like this with both the Fanatic and the Timeless Witness tokens in play is to simply use Second Harvest alongside an effect like 1,000 Year Elixir or Concordant Crossroads. By tapping the Fanatic, you can make 4 mana, and then cast the Second Harvest, making a copy of the Timeless Witness and the Fanatic. Then tap one of the 2 new Fanatics to make 4 mana, recast the Second Harvest you got with one of the 2 Timeless Witness, and suddenly, you can see here how you have infinite buyback 0 and infinite mana. Winning from there shouldn't be too big of an issue. Up until this point, you use Esika's Chariot as a value engine, copying these eternalized creatures. Not to mention, with a card like God Pharaoh's Gift, you can just make any creature eternalized. Suddenly, you're buying back insane mono-green threats that are 4/4 tokens with insane ETBs. Very fun commander to have access to now for mono-green, and definitely one I'm considering building. Naturally, the artifact commander that has everyone's eye is the Jackdaw. It is a very powerful creature, for sure, but the lack of evasion has me a little bit iffy. This being said, it's still very, very good. Connecting and then drawing a card for each artifact you control is an insane amount of advantage, especially since it doesn't say non-token. With just a few treasures and clues laying around, the Jackdaw here does an incredible job keeping your hand fully stacked, even after you vomit it up. Running something in this deck like a Cyberdrive Awakener to not only give the Jackdaw flying, but also to turn all those token artifacts you're using to redraw your hand every single time, flying and making them 4/4s is a deadly threat. With all this wheeling you're doing, something like a Scrap Mastery is actually super good in this style of deck, letting you basically replace all the tokens you've been using as draw fodder into actual threatening artifacts. Just imagine bringing back a Cursed Mirror, a Machine's God effigy, and a Psychosis Crawler from one of these, and then attacking with the Jackdaw, and then pinging everyone for 3 for each card you draw. Seems incredibly powerful. As a resident top deck manipulator, the Belligerent has me very interested as well, allowing you to make a treasure token whenever it attacks, and then letting you cast the top card of your library at any time. Do I really need to say why this card's good? It's basically as close to a Magus of the Future in the command zone as you can get, though you do have to get into combat with it. But attacking with it is not the only real restriction. The other one is that you can't really run counter spells. Since the Belligerent has to attack, you need to be able to cast every spell at sorcery speed, which means counterspells will brick you. But no need to worry, because you can run cards like Confounding Riddle, Cryptic Command, Mystic Confluence, Sublime Epiphany, or you find the villain's lair. These sorts of cards have really good modality, allowing you to cast them for value at sorcery speed or use them as counter magic when it isn't your turn. Moving on to the last card, we have the Sarima. The Sarima is actually really sick, and a lot of people who are very familiar with my videos and stream will know why. It's because you can get Felia with it. In all seriousness though, it's an incredibly strong play pattern to go the Sarima, Felia, flicker it with Felia, and now you have a legend tutor chain. With removal like Lauren of the Third Path and stacks pieces like Elishnorn Mother of Machines, who doubles the Sarima's triggers by the way, you're not really hurting for toolboxiness at all. There's a ton of mono white and colorless legends with very good and niche abilities that you can find in a pinch. Late in the game, when you have a threatening game-winning board with something like 7 mana Elishnorn in play, the other mode of the Sarima actually becomes very active as well, allowing you to get constant free attacking value and then just being unanswerable at sorcery speed. Even if your creatures have vigilance like Elishnorn, you can just tap it to the Sarima and not have to worry about getting blown up, even after it's already turned into an artifact creature. I have always been preaching Thalia's Lancers, so is it any wonder why now I'm preaching the Sarima as being a cool card? The Sarima being a historic permanent and an artifact makes it really interesting as well for the 99 of any Tashar deck. Provided you have a way to consistently sacrifice artifacts, Tashar can just bring the Sarima back every turn whenever you cast the legendary from it, which is needless to say, a very funny loop to have going. Overall, I'm just incredibly hyped for this card, and I'm excited to see what the other spaceships do as well in Edge of Eternities. But that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think is the coolest vehicle to be running in the command zone, or if I missed any interesting tech with any of these vehicles here. I hope this video gave you an interesting starting point to jump off into this new set of rules coming in a couple of months, and I hope I got you a little bit more interested in Esika's Chariot over something like the Jackdaw. Until next time, bye! Also, this video was unscripted, I don't know if you guys could tell.